Zap string.
Hey, you beautiful big kids, your boy Zacho, and welcome back to some more Wuthering Waves. So today we're going to be talking about the issues with Zani that people seem to be having, and there's two big issues. The first one being her seemingly reliant on Phoebe and more so negative status effects. So the problem starts with her embers, because without a character who can inflict spectral frazzle, you can't get the embers, and you need the embers to then go and deal damage in the ultimate, and that's how all those connect. But I mean, you could use, Spectral Rover, and then also there is actually another way to get Blaze that I don't see too many people talking about, but that's one of the problems with these really long thesaurus-like or novel-like kits. It's really hard to keep track of everything, right? So yeah, there is another way to get Blaze, which is the targeted action and forcible repose. So outside of, needing a spectral character, or spectral frazzle character to be specific, so Rover in this case, because without Rover you have to go with Phoebe, but Rover in this case, the other way to actually get it would be, you gotta look for the main thing, it's the skill. So it said targeted action and forcible repose is the other skills that will actually get you some Blaze. So yeah, you get 10 per cast, and how you get these is, well, you need redundant energy, and to get redundant energy, now we gotta go all back down and look for redundant energy. It's so much stuff to keep track of. So to get redundant energy, it's actually very easy, which is the normal attacks and the skill. So yeah, you get this to then be able to use the targeted and forcible, skills to then get Blaze another way other than just simply through the Spectral Frazzle. So she has the capability to do things by herself. It's just gonna take a longer amount of time, but it shouldn't hurt her too much because, well, now you have two ways of getting it. Well, you always had two ways of getting it, but it seems as though people are only focusing on the one way of getting it. So how good or bad that will be, that's, up for when the character actually releases. We gotta wait on that. But furthering the issue with the whole dependent on, a limited character or negative status effects, people have been saying it's the same as other gachas, releasing a character and then releasing their best partner right after, sometimes in the same patch. And people are saying this because, you can get Zani and then Phoebe at the same time. The difference here is, gotta always do that devil's advocate, is the fact that this is Phoebe's rerun. This is not her first time coming around, so you had a chance to get her prior. I'm not saying that excuses it, but I'm saying, the possibility of getting Phoebe, early on was there. Obviously, when they make these characters, they have things planned 6 months out, because that's usually the time frame for most gachas. But yeah, you also still have the free-to-play option, which is Rover, so you're not really locked in to only having, a summonable character as the only option you have. And let's not act like Rover isn't a good character, because Spectral Rover is good. There's no way around it. The only downside is using Spectral Rover does lock you into that one kind of Rover, so you can't, use the Dark or Wind one. Not like anybody's using the Wind one right now, but anyways. The whole situation sounds similar to the whole Brand problem where, people said you need to have Brand at 280 energy regen, but my Brand is nowhere near that, and he is still doing amazing work, taking down enemies and bosses, doing big chunky damage. So does it really matter? It seems as though Toro is really good at balancing their characters, and nobody has really been a real outlier in terms of the damage they're able to deal. Also, I've never been in a situation where I've needed the most optimal rotations or needed a character to be at their peak of damage potential in this game whatsoever. Also, Saint Tontas even said that, without Phoebe, you can't reach full Blaze. You can only hit around 60 out of the 100 that you would like to have with Spectral Rover. And you also be lacking in the Spectral Frazzle amplification that Phoebe will be, able to give Zani. But again, does not having her max damage potential really hurt her that much? Yeah, you'll obviously be missing out on some damage, but that's the same as not having the perfect build for a character. So unless she becomes utterly unplayable, does it really matter to such a high extent? I'm all for looking at a character's skits to see the potential of the character, even though most skits in this game are literal novels and it's a Herculean task to even get through them. I'm more for holding my full judgment until the character actually releases and I can get my hands on them, because simply reading, the text and everything going off of that, it's really hard to get a full feel for a character in comparison to how they stack up with all the other characters that have already been released in the game thus far. And I'm with Saint Tontas on this. If Zani plus Phoebe at 0 dupes and only having her signature weapon does so much damage that the end game has to be adjusted for it, then we'll have a problem. That's the only time we'll have a problem, because it starts to separate Zani from the rest of the roster in terms of power. But if Zani plus Phoebe gives her a slight increase of damage that isn't too far off from what we're already experiencing, then we don't have too much to really worry about, because not much is really changing. Zani will still feel okay without a Phoebe. With a Phoebe, she will feel, a lot stronger, but not broken or busted. Maybe that will keep people from really going for her, because she isn't like some crazy broken, busted character. But at the same time, I would be happier with characters remaining around the same strength, because the stronger characters become, the game has to adjust for that in the end game, which means, where that makes the enemies hit harder, move faster, have more health. Now, the stronger our characters become, the stronger the enemies must become as well. So, you know, I like things to be nice and balanced and evened out for the most part, so things don't get too crazy, because it allows people to play around with more characters instead of being forced to use specific teams that just obviously out damage everybody else in the game. But I also find it funny how people are feeling this way about Zani, but Carrot Cake literally enables Arrow Rover, which is, in my opinion, more problematic because we have no free or lower rarity alternative to make Arrow Rover work. And the second issue overall, which, you know, if you haven't noticed that we've displayed a little bit in this video at one point, is the Yap Fest that is the characters' kits in this game. Like, when they send us these links to these PDF files that are long as hell, it's just annoying, and it really messes people up when they're just trying to see what a character does, when a lot of it can be summarized. I get it, you want to explain everything a character can do, but Jesus Christ, the amount of text is crazy. Like, hell, at the time with the combat guys, I just scroll down to the bottom and be like, all right, so what exactly are we doing here? Hitting a target recovers Forte, consume Forte to cast resonance skills, Zani restores Forte when other resonators inflict spectral threats. So you see that, like, that's what I did do at this point. Like, I give that quick skim, but I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna take my ass to the bottom and just look at what they actually do, because all that up there, unnecessary. And then I you know, from there I did like, okay, I'll just wait for the character to come out and I'm gonna see what they really feel like. But yeah, anyways, I love you guys. Please consider subscribing for more Wuthering Waves and Zone Zero content, and I'll see you in the next one, you beautiful big heads. Bye bye.